Fantastic. Welcome along to the Events Force Theatre for our next session. We've got very much a popular topic this year. The event is anything AI, so we've had lots of interest. So I expect this will be quite a fascinating session for you all. So I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to let the expert, Nick, talk about it. So he'll take it up from here. Nick, over to you.
Thanks so much, Paul. Appreciate it. Thanks everyone for coming. It looks like we're flying under the radar on this session. We're not on the app. So you guys have an exclusive view into what's going to hopefully be a really good session. So we're talking about AI-powered event creation, but not in this sort of, strange, intangible way. We're going to give you some useful tools you can use today. Some of them are free, some of them are not, to actually help make events faster, make content faster, sort through data faster, and generally do a better job at running your events or whatever it is you're doing. So just a preamble. And we're not going to talk about Gather much, all right? I promise. It's just to be educational. But if you're interested, we are an event platform, end-to-end event tech, and we work with some leading brands around the world, and we get lots of awards for doing it. Loads of GT badges, which I love. It's like candy. Can't get enough of them. And that's literally all I'm going to say about Gather. But we're over there in the corner, in the middle of a space if you want to go chat to us afterwards. All the slides you're going to see today, I'm going to have a QR code at the end so you can download them. I'll send them over to you if you fill in the little form. So don't worry if you miss anything. I'm going to talk pretty quickly because I know that we've only got half an hour to get through this and there's a lot of content. So by the end of it all, you're going to get tools that you can use today, a couple of advanced ones, an intermediate one, and some beginner ones. You're going to become a prompt wizard. So if anyone uses chatbots, anyone use chatbots in the audience? Nod if you have. No, not really, sort of. Okay, fair play. Well, you might want to use them after this, who knows? We're going to advance them, understand advanced statistical analysis and save time, hopefully, in the next event, which should be good. So you don't need to know anything about stats before you do this. That's the beauty of the tools that we're going to use today. Always obviously be conscious of data privacy, security. You've got to make that disclaimer. It's very important. Data's out there, but it doesn't mean you can just scrape it from anywhere. And any models you're making with these things, they're not going to be 100% accurate. You always got to test your hypotheses and test the information we're getting off the back of it. So do be careful. But first one. We're starting you off. We're gonna boil the frog, right? We're gonna start off easy. The first one is about cleaning data, using some AI tools to prepare it for getting information out of your CRM, so that you can pull it into your event tech platform of choice. So you got all these customer information in your CRM. Maybe some of it's old, some of it's new. You're not sure what to use. So we're going to show you some quick prompts you can use to pull all that stuff together and get it in one place so you can actually use it in your registration or your email campaign or whatever it is you're doing. So, straight into the prompts with ChatGPT here, our best friend. I will point out, you can use any sort of chatbot you like. There's lots of different ones out there. ChatGPT is the one we're using here, but you can do all sorts. So, one of the beautiful things about GPT is you can actually pull in different files as well as just type in questions, right? So people think about chatbots and they're like, oh, okay, this is something that's going to answer my question. But actually it's more than that, right? It's something that can follow instructions. So in this example here, we've got some really beautiful data. We've got this client's list. We've got this user's list. We've got this client's list, and we've got some text file here. No one knows what's in them, and it's all this information, and you're not going to sit there and sift through it manually. So what we're going to do is clean this up using some quick prompts. And GPT can actually take those files, it can look inside them, and it can create new data from that and tidy it up and align all the columns, simplify it all, and make it all in one place, which is really, really helpful. So the prompt here, I'm not going to read them all out, but basically the first prompt is consolidating the data. So it'll take all these files and read it and make some standardized column names for them. So you might have different column names. It's going to, because it's GPT and it knows stuff, you can tell it to guess what's first name, what's last name, what's email, phone, address, role, company, whatever information you've got in your data. So then it processes that, it pumps out a file at the back of it. You take that file, which it gives you, clients combined, And then you can say, right, okay, now validate this data. So not all data is perfect. There might be some missing values. There might be some missing entries in your input data. So you're going to say, right, spot any inconsistencies. If there's any ones that don't match what you're expecting, then filter those out, flag them, put in a separate file, and let me know what comes out of the back of it. It's going to do that. It'll process data for you. So you've got this new CSV, it's clients processed. So we've taken our 4 horrible files, we've taken them into one file, we've taken the bad data out, we've flagged it, we've got a nice cleaned up file. And so now we want to make sure it's standardized. So a lot of platforms might have really specific ways you've got to format things, right? It's a pain to go in there and make sure there's a plus code at the beginning of every phone number. It's a pain to go in there and make sure that all the emails addresses have no spaces, or there's no special characters. Maybe it doesn't like accents on letters. All of these things can be real roadblocks, and it's just a time saver to help avoid that. So we're taking this processed data, we're going to standardize it. Whatever rules you want to put in there, you can copy these prompts. Again, I'm sharing these files afterwards, so don't feel like you have to write this stuff down. We'll share it, because otherwise we could be here for a long time. So then, if you want an additional step at the end, maybe you want to share this data with a third party, but it's all your client data, so you want to anonymize it to make sure you can do that. Take the file which you've just processed, and say you want to run anonymization on it, so it will take all the first names, last names, mix it up, and clean it up, so you can then share that with a third party, which may be useful, especially if you're trying to get some good data and insights off the back of it, but in a safe way. So that's how we've taken data from lots of files and put it into one file in a way that's really clean and ready to import into your event platform of choice. That was beginner. That was step 1. All right, it's pretty straightforward. The second beginner one we're going to do is about taking handwritten notes and turning that into a Kanban-ready task. Does everyone know here what Kanban is? It's like columns. Yes, all right, man in blue, I love it. So columns, it's like all my tasks for the day. I'm like all my stuff I need to do. I'm going to pull that into the doing column. I'm going to pull that into the done column, and then can't do, won't do, forget about it column. That's Kanban. I think it was a Japanese thing. It was like Toyota or something who did it back in the day. It's really good. People still use it today. It's really common in software development, not so common in other fields, but it's a really good system. So we've got these beautiful notes. They're not mine. My handwriting's not that neat, but I've taken this from Google Images. This is just a random file of handwritten notes that someone's taken a picture of or scanned. It looks actually like a photocopy, which is brilliant, but irrespective, you can take it from your notebook, from a piece of paper, from a napkin, whatever you like. And then we're going to go in GPT, and we're going to put these notes in there. And I've actually recorded this, because you can never rely on internet at an event. So I'm not going to do a live demo for you, but I'm going to show you what it can do. So it's like saying, analyze the notes, turn it into a text file, and try and preserve the charts, because you saw there were some diagrams in there, right? So it's taking it in, it's thinking about it, chugging along, chug, 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 chug. And then it's thinking about it. And I'll say, this video recording was taken, 6 months ago maybe. So the speed of this has increased, and the quality of it's increased a lot. But it's thinking about it, and what comes out, boom. All the notes you saw there, if you did have time to read it, and you could read the scrawly handwriting, it's taken out, and it's saved it, it's tried to keep the structure of it, and it's actually going to give us a nice text file off the back of it, so you can then use that and pull it into another file. And out the back of it comes a nice link. You can click, download a text file. So we've taken our notes. We've done it in about 20 seconds. In that time, I've pressed the machine on the coffee machine, and I've made myself a cappuccino. And this is what is in the file. Brilliant. I can share that, and I could use that. That would be great. But we want to take it a step further. So we want to turn that file into something that you can pull into Kanban tools. It could be Trello, it could be Monday.com, it could be Teamwork, whatever like project management tool you might use to organize your team. So you're taking all these notes in, and we're gonna design a prompt. Maybe this is a bit over-engineered, but you're gonna design a prompt that can turn this into something that you can then directly import into Trello. So without having to work out, okay, what task is this? What kind of task is it? What what is it? Is it a note? Is it something with a due date? Is it an idea? You know, there's all sorts of things you could write down in a notepad. So we want to start to filter it with this really long prompt. It doesn't really matter how long the prompt is because it's following instructions. So it's going to look at all the instructions we've given it here, and it's going to process that file. So identifying what it is, what kind of item it is, task, note, idea, relevant information. We're going to take out the main task from each line, remove any nonsense, remove any bullet points. We're going to work it out if it's actionable, has it got a due date, try and link notes to tasks. And you can customize this and you can tailor it. You can see if it's got urgent, high, top, important. You might underline it twice. You know, all of these things. So you're going to tell GPT what you want to do with that text file we've just created from the notes. And then we can do other stuff. So depending on what project management tool, you might want to say, right, for anything that's tasks, I want to structure the data like this. So I want to say the priority, the status, task, labels, due date, into whatever format that your project management tool expects. So usually you can import a CSV file or import an Excel file, and it will process that. So we can just tell it, structure it like it expects. If you want, you can skip this stage and you can say, here's an example of an import file. Make sure my notes matches this format. So again, it does a bit of a legwork for you. And at the end of the day, those notes go into Trello, and you can start to put them in columns and start to process them. So you can capture information from lots of sources, handwritten notes, and quickly turn it into something which is a lot more trackable, and you can share with your team without them looking at you like, why am I reading your handwritten notes? I still can't read your handwriting. We've talked about this. And Kanban is a great, great tool. Trello is free. We use it. It's easy to use, and it's really quite intuitive, but it can do a lot. So I really recommend having a look if you've never tried Kanban. It helps me organize my life. It's great. And this could be tasks around work. It could be tasks around life, you know. It doesn't matter. So that was number 2, beginner prompts. Number 3 is streamlining the onboarding using some automated script generation. So this is getting a bit more creative. So you may say, okay, I've got an event. I don't want to create a welcome video, but I'm not a script writer. I'm not a content creator. I haven't got the budget to go out to a production company. All we want is a quick hello. So how are we going to do it? We can use some tools. So I'm going to write down some notes. I'm going to map out some bullet points. Like, I kind of want my script to say this. It's this event. I want to add some emphasis on certain words because this script is going to be used in a video, so I want to tell GPT to emphasize it. And I want to, at the end of a day, use it to generate a talking heads video. So you take your notes, you generate them with that, with this little prompt we've got here. And off the back of that, we can use a tool called Synthesia. Anyone here heard of Synthesia? No, it's a great tool. It's really cheap. And I'll show you the kind of output we can get from Synthesia. So this was generated off the back of this talk. I wrote a prompt, it took about 20 seconds, and Synthesia then generates me a lovely
Hello everyone
talking
and
heads
welcome.
video.
Today,
I can't hear how
I'm
loud that
thrilled
is,
to show
so
you
I
how
hope
AI can transform your
it's
event
good.
management
We're
and
not deafening
marketing.
you.
By the end of this talk, you will discover powerful
So
AI
our wonderful
tools you can
AI
use
avatar
today.
has been
Save
generated. This
time on your
takes
next
about
event.
a minute to
Gain
process.
insights into advanced
And she looks pretty
statistical
real.
analysis,
And for something
enhance
that's
your
just a
strategic
welcome
approach.
video to say hello, where you don't
think
have
you
the
get the
budget at a
picture.
bigger event, it's
The real
great.
question is,
But
who did it better?
that's
Me
not all,
or Nick?
because we can take it a step further. Maybe you're doing an event which is for lots of different regions, and you've got to go to France, you've got to go to Portugal, Brazil, wherever, who knows. You may not speak those languages. You may not have team members who speak those languages. How do you get it done? You get a translation agency? Do you get an actor to do it in a different language? All very expensive. So, no, we're going to translate the script with GPT, and we're going to pump it in Synthesia. And Synthesia's got lots of different language voices, and so off we go. And here's a nice Brazilian chap who's going to say the same thing in Brazilian, Portuguese, whatever they speak in Brazil. But you get the picture. All generated in minutes, all content that's cheap to produce, which you can start to roll out to start to drive attendance and start to drive engagement as you start to market your event, your product, your campaign, whatever it is you're doing. So really useful. Synthesia. And there's a link at the end. Don't worry. We'll get all these things to you. what are we up to next? Right, this is getting more complicated. Who here runs advertising on PPC platforms like Google Ads or LinkedIn Ads? Yeah? Yeah, okay, cool, good stuff. Okay, this could be useful then. So we did actually talk a little bit earlier about how to really do better optimization on LinkedIn Ads and lower the bid costs. So if anyone's interested, let me know afterwards and I'll send that presentation too. But this is going to be really around keyword generation, trying to make lists of keywords so you can start to really target your stuff to specific groups of people and build better audiences. So, Google Trends. Anyone use Google Trends? Yep. Oh, you guys give yes to everything. I love it. Okay, Google Trends is great. You basically put in search terms, and Google will say how popular they are. So you can start to compare different search terms. Based on the popularity of a search terms, you're going to know it's likely to get more impressions. That might be a factor that's important when you're trying to design your campaign. So you get your Google search term information. You can export it. There's a button to export it into a file. And then you can put it into GPT, and we've got a prompt here. So like, here's my performance data and my search trends data. Google Ads also has an export button on your campaign, so you can say, oh, but last year we did a campaign. How did it do? Am I going to scroll through and manually sort of assess every single bid and every single completion, every single conversion? No. I'm going to export it. I'm going to get GPT to do the work for me. So clean it up, standardize the names, remove your duplicates, all the same stuff we did in the first prompts. But then analyze it. Compare my ads data to the trends data. What keywords are most popular? What should I not focus on? What was converting? What was not? What had a really high cost per click? What didn't? And you can start to really refine how your campaigns are structured based on trends data and any other data sources you might have. Maybe you use market insights, maybe you use other information sources, doesn't really matter. And you can start to pump this through. We'll look at a cost analysis again. So, okay, you've exported your Google Ads stuff, so you know what the cost per click was across all these terms, and you know your conversion rates, so optimize it. Tell me where the best 20 are, and then you can save money, put the money in the most highly converting place. And again, it's taking half an hour maybe to run all this stuff, rather than a week of sitting there scratching your head over Excel and trying to figure it out on paper. So really important. So I would say this is the feedback loop of your ads campaign. Making sure that you can learn from what you're doing, do it better next time. That's really important. So the next piece, I'm just going to see how much time we've got left. Oh yeah, we're okay. We've got time. Another advanced one. I think this is the last advanced one we've got. So this is precision marketing. So say you've got a huge list of attendee information, and you want to really drill down and try and work out, okay, of all these attendees, I did a conference last year and 10,000 people came. They're not all the same. Even at EventTech Live, there's not 10,000 people here, but there's lots of different people. There's demographic data, there's firmographic data, there's all this information that you've got to process, try and work out who you're talking to. And one ad will work well with one audience and it won't work well with another audience, but how can you start to put all those 10,000 people into those buckets quickly and easily? Well, there's some great statistical tools to be able to do it, but we don't have a degree in statistics. I don't, at least. Maybe some of you do. Hats off to you. But thank goodness GPT knows about statistics. So we can use things like k-means clustering. This is grouping data. I've got all these blobs, all my attendees. They've got all this different information. We've got two factors here. Maybe it's age and geographical location. Who knows? Could be anything. You can have multi-dimension arrays. Maybe there's like a third dimension, a fourth and a fifth dimension. All the different information you've collected in that registration process. It means nothing to me when it's all blobs, but you can start to use k-means clustering to chunk it up into groups. Where are the similarities? Where are the groupings? And so pumping that in will show you that there are trends in that data which you can exploit to start to make groups to say, okay, I've not got one massive campaign, I've got 3 small campaigns. Or 5 small campaigns, or whatever it is. So you can really target a message specifically to people to ensure that you're getting a better conversion rate, but also a cheaper bid on your ads, because bids on LinkedIn ads, on Google ads, are all based on the likelihood people are going to click through. If you're just chucking out a message to a massive audience with no idea who's in that audience, your likelihood of clicking is going to be really low, right? It's going to be a lot lower than if you have more insight and you can target people specifically. So k-means clustering is a really good tool to do that. How we're going to do it, we're not going to do any maths. We're going to get GPT to do it. I love this tool. So we get our massive clients list from earlier, analyze it. This is a registration form question about interests. List the main topics and keywords mentioned by the attendees. Okay, step 2, we're combining the cleaned registration form data with the historical check-in data. So all these people who registered, who actually checked in. Okay, that's useful information to know. You know, registration doesn't mean attendance, right? We all know that there's a big drop-off between attendance and registration. So check that. Then look at their session attendance metrics, look at their, other interests and start to build information on that. Then prepare the feature set for clustering. Do all these things that are going to help us do the k-means clustering piece on there. We've developed this prompt by doing a bit of reading and asking GPT a bit and doing a bit more reading, so you're going to have to trust me a little bit because I haven't got time to explain it all, but you can try it out yourselves. It's a bit of magic involved. But it will then look at the data and it will do a few guesses and it will start to try and extrapolate this. What's great now is since making this presentation, GPT actually does charts and graphs for you. So I can ask it to do some k-means clustering, and it will literally produce me charts and graphs of my data, as well as giving me a CSV export. So you can have some visual stuff you can put into a PowerPoint presentation. And you're going to look so clever when you present this to all the people at the business, because they can be like, how do you do this? And then you can maybe tell them about this presentation, or maybe you'll just say, it's what I do in my spare time at the weekend. I do a lot of reading. I like learning, whatever you want to say. So then generated targeted market lists from that information. Great, boom. We've taken massive data and we've made specific lists we can use for specific campaigns with better results at the end and hopefully less money spent at the end of the day. And there's more you can do, there's other algorithms out there. K-means is just one of them. We've got dbScan, which is a bit more like if k-means is looking at people and working out what table they're going to be at a wedding based on arbitrary information, dbScan is assigning people those seats based on how they're behaving in the room, in simple terms. And PCA, this is looking at all those questions you asked in the registration and working out what drives a higher likelihood of check-in, because maybe race and gender has no impact on whether they're going to check in or not based on their registration. Maybe their topic interests has much more of a weighting, so you can start to automatically filter out these things with PCA. Great, love it. If you really want to geek out, you can use Google Colab to run some more advanced algorithms, and you can ask our friend GPT to develop you some Python scripts to do some of this stuff. And if anyone wants to see an example of that, again, come chat to us. We're over there in the middle. We're called gther. We couldn't afford the A, so it's gther, but it's gther. So come find us afterwards. We can talk to you more about it. So what tools did we use to make this? We've used AI in a lot of this presentation. We use Midjourney for the backgrounds, for the image generation. We use Claude. We asked lots of questions about this. We use Pexels, which is a free image resource. You can download free images. It's great. You have to obviously attribute them. We use Google Ads, we use Google Trends, Google Colab we just mentioned. Synthesia was the image generation tool we used, and ChatGPT as well. Claude and ChatGPT are pretty similar. It's just personal preference. Claude's got a nicer name, but apart from that, they're much of a muchness, really. But the thing you've all been waiting for, where do I get these prompts? Feel free to scan this one. And all you need to do is fill in the form. We will send you an email with the PowerPoint file attached so you can get these slides and read through it at a more human pace. Because I know that I've been talking at a million miles an hour, because I want to give you time for questions. I think there's a couple of minutes left. But feel free to scan it. Don't worry, we're not going to try and sell stuff to you if you don't want to buy it. It's just about giving you information. A lot of clients ask us this stuff. A lot of clients have small events teams, small teams. So these tools are tools to save you time, right? That's all we're doing here. We are saving you time and letting you do more in those 37.5 hours a week we have to work so we can take that half-hour lunch break outside and not at our desks. And that's what we're trying to achieve. So have a look, have a download. If you want a demo of our platform, you can scan that one on the right too.
Is that you?
But probably want to talk to us about what we actually do first. Because we've not talked about it.
Yeah.
But all of this stuff can be useful. So if anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask. I need to get some headphones on, I think.
There we go.
So
let me wear those ones, or I'll get some new ones. There we go. Just give us a minute, and you can ask.
All right, I can hear.
Okay, yeah.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. It was really insightful. I didn't even know ChatGPT was able to do some of those, like k-means clustering. So my question is, there are data scientists out there who would do k-means clustering and similar things using, raw Python. And I noticed in the prompt, I know this was just your example, but it didn't include things like feature engineering to create additional features to, create a more robust model. So, given that the average person, doing prompts probably wouldn't know that, and also the number of clusters that should be created, how efficient, or I guess how effective is ChatGPT at this stage versus getting an actual data scientist to do this sort of work? Do you believe, that it's at a good enough stage for businesses to be getting, very good use out of it?
That's a great question. I think it's not as good as a data scientist. It's the easy answer. But it's cheaper, and at the end of the day, especially in our industry, in the events world, not many companies, not many events teams have the resources to afford a data scientist. And so what this does is it proves the business case to say, hey, if we do this stuff, if we actually invest in this, then we can maybe prove the ROI is increased by doing more statistical analysis. And then maybe next year they'll say, you know what, maybe we should invest a bit more money and we could do it for real, But I would add that you can improve the prompts, right? If you pump those in and get a basic k-means cluster out the back of it, ask GPT and say, hey, where are the weaknesses of this model? Where are the weaknesses of my prompt? How could I improve it? Could I write a Python script to do this more efficiently? Help me write that script. Let's use Google Colab and actually build it. So you can sort of work with it to find the holes. I think it's all about asking the right questions.
Okay, thank you. That was a good response. I was going to ask if you had any, I don't know if you have the data to show what a data scientist has done versus what the prompt could do in terms of the results of the model. I don't know, just out of interest, if you were to say, the results were similar or they were quite far apart.
That is a great question, and no, we don't. But we could definitely find that out. I think it's a really valid question.
Okay, so that was out of pure curiosity, but thank you.
Great question, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions for the time being? No? Thank you so much. That was fascinating. I think you can tell by the look in everyone's eyes. Very fascinating subject, and really appreciate your presentation there. Thank you, everyone, to you. Yeah, let's show our appreciation. Thank you. And thank you for attending this session at the Events Source Theatre. You're welcome to stick around for the next one in about 10 minutes' time. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your event. Thank you so much.